Winn. And of course Jasper's wearing a mono red shirt today. Why wouldn't he be? The burn master himself.
Well, to be fair, Power 9 Games, which is who he's representing today, I believe they just have red shirts.
They mostly have red shirts, yes.
But it is fitting on top of that.
Azurgo is where things are going to start here early this morning in round number 10. Jasper going to come in for 2 right away. Winn is down to 20. No turn 2 play, however, for Johnson-Epstein. Winn with a Shivan Reef. There's a Jace. See how long that's going to last. Not very long at all, as Wild Slash will take care of that. Zergo will come across. Jasper will pass the turn back. Winn already down to 16. Temple of Triumph is the land for turn 3.
And Tyler's Winn's Jeskai aggro deck has gone bigger in the main deck. That may not help him here. He's playing extra copies of cards like Dragonlord Ojutai and Goblin Rabble Master. He's cut a Soulfire Grandmaster for it. Doesn't have any copies of Seeker of the Way.
Land number 4 there for Jasper, an attack for 2. Winn's down to 14, but no removal spell, no Searing Blood, no Wild Slash for the Jace. So Winn will get at least 1 activation from Jace as he does pass the turn back.
Yeah, Jasper's on a pretty burn-heavy draw. Ideally, he'd have a second creature here. The fact that he's only has 1 source of repeatable damage means that Tyler has a lot of life points to work with.
That Zergo's coming in with some oomph. Tyler will discard Temple of Epiphany, and Jace will bite the dust. Jasper with land number 5, pass the turn back. Here's Ojutai's command, getting Jace back, and I would assume gaining 4 life against the red deck.
Yeah, so essentially this was just a gain 6 life spell for 4.
Which was very good, as the Winn is up to 18. Flooded Strand is land number 5. Winn will sacrifice that, go down to 17. Keep in mind that Jace is active, and there are 4 cards in the graveyard now. Basic Island is what Winn does search up.
Yeah, so this is one of the 2 main deck copies of Dragonlord Ojutai. It should be very good against mono red, especially in conjunction really with this Jace. Speaking plot by flashback of Ojutai's command, it'll be very hard for Jasper to get those last points of damage across.
Jace going to go active, but Jasper's going to stoke the flames that right away. Cannot let that turn into Jace Telepath Unbound. Winn discarding a Dig Through Time, very notable. There is Dragonlord Ojutai, as you did mention, and we head back Jasper's way. Can't imagine we'll see an attack here with Zergo, and we don't, so Tyler will draw. We'll see if he wants to come in with the dragon.
Great role assessment by Tyler, especially on a 6-card graveyard. It's very hard to not discard Dig Through Time there. You say this is a great card, but I think because Tyler already has Ojutai and then this Valorous Stance in his hand to support it, he says this is all the card draw he really needs, and he wants to hang on to things like Soulfire Grandmaster.
Yeah, Valorous Stance countered that, stoked the flames. Exquisite Firecraft is going to try to go after Dragonlord Ojutai. That's going to get countered by Valorous Stance as well. And now Ojutai gets to run away with the game because Jasper has 1 card in hand, I believe. Tyler's going to sacrifice the Flooded Strand, go down to 14, but Tyler's got so much life to work with. He's got the best creature on the board, and that creature's going to continue to draw him into gas.
All right, those 2 Valor Stances, saving him so much life. Jasper with a lot of burn, but continues to point it at Ojutai. And because it's going in a creature, Tyler's able to save it.
And it's tough because with where Tyler's life total is at, 14, I don't think you can start setting the Stoke the Flames and the Exquisite Firecrafts upstairs.
Exactly.
I think you probably have to try to go after Dragonlord Ojutai there. And it certainly did not work.
Now you see how it runs away with the game. Ojutai finding a copy of Dig Through Time. He has a Soulfire Grandmaster now being played. Dig Through Time and Jace is the last 2 cards in his hand, and he'll get to cast all of them.
I've seen worse turns. In my years of doing this, I've seen worse turns of Magic. This is an Abbot of Kuro Keep. It's going to have to be a real good one. Wild Slash is acceptable, but not the best thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, it's reasonable. It takes care of one of these 2 drops. The problem for Jasper is that Dragonlord Ojutai is going to kill him in 2 attacks. And he's just not winning the race against the card anymore.
No, not at all. Soulfire Grandmaster is going to block Zergo. This will allow Winn to gain 2 life. He's going to go up to 16. Wild Slash will go after Dragonlord Ojutai as well. Another Wild Slash. Okay, so the big dragon is dead. However, the last card in Tyler Winn's hand is a doozy in Dig Through Time.
Right, and this was found off that second hit of Ojutai.
So while Jasper did get something accomplished there with getting Dragonlord Ojutai off the board, Dig Through Time is going to find Tyler something of use. It's almost impossible for it not to, given that you get to look at 7 cards, and Ojutai's command is the first card he's taken very quickly.
Yeah, it looks like Mantis Rider was the other one, so he has a replacement threat. And look how much card advantage is here. This Jace is going to get to flip. He'll have an Ojutai's command in hand.
Just picked up a copy of Stoke the Flames.
Yeah.
Jace going active, Temple the draw, easy discard. Time to flip into the Telepath Unbound. Winn can flashback things if he'd like, but he's just going to move up Jace to slow down the Abbot. The follow-up is Mantis Rider. They'll be an attack for 3 in the air.
Yep, has stoked the flames up thanks to Mantis Rider's vigilance.
Tyler Winn making this game look pretty easy right now.
Yeah, well, what I like is that every time he's had that choice, he's taken the life gain route on all of his cards. You see Jace, he's just using it to plus the plus ability to -2 Jasper's creatures. You saw him use Ojutai's commander to basically chump block and gain 4. It was just a life gain spell. So he's really giving a lot of respect to the mono red deck and using all his cards to buy time to bridge him into the late game.
Well, I think it's important, and you said it during the match, role assessment.
Right.
Even though his deck is Jeskai aggro, no question about it, he's the control deck in the matchup because he actually has the ability to pivot with cards like Ojutai's Command, where Jasper really doesn't. Now, Jasper can play a longer game with his burn spells, and we'll see if that happens in game 2 and or 3. That particular game, things did not line up very well for him. Tyler kept his life total very high, and he took an easy one there, and that's why you see the one next to his name, Jeskai aggro, up a game over mono red aggro. Yeah. All of that said, we take a look at the sideboards now, and we take a look at Jasper, and he's got 2 Goblin Heel Cutters, 2 Thunderbreak Regions, 2 Magma Sprays, a Molten Vortex, 4 copies of Roast, 2 Smash the Smithereens, a Chandra Pyromaster, and an Outpost Siege. What do you like in this matchup and why?
All right, well, Magma Spray and Molten Vortex seem reasonable. There's a lot of these early creatures that Jasper wants to make sure get removed. But if you look at how last game played out, the big issue on Jasper's side is that Jeskai is a good deck it gets to play a lot of its own cheap removal, its own Magma Spray, its own Wild Slashes. So what Tyler's going to try to do is remove Jasper's early creatures and then win the game with either a Mantis Rider or a Dragon Lord Ojutai. So what I like from Jasper's side is just a little more resiliency, never hurt. Cards like Thunderbreak Regent, I think, are fine. It doesn't really die to those Wild Slashes. It blocks something like Mantis Rider. So if he can go bigger with some more resilient threats, maybe even Outpost Siege, that's the route I would expect Jasper to take.
Now, what do we see for Tyler's side? It looks like his game 1 matchup is pretty good because he's got all these Ojutai's commands. Is he bringing anything else to the table?
I mean, you're not wrong. He does have 2 copies of Anger of the Gods in his sideboard, which seem pretty reasonable against what Jasper's trying to do. On top of that, 2 copies of Negate are in the sideboard, and that certainly seems better than some of the things he has in his main deck. Things like Goblin Rabblemaster, Jeskai Charm. I would expect to not see those in post-board games.
Yeah, I do like the combination of Soulfire Grandmaster and Anger of the Gods is quite a good one against red. The one thing about Jasper's particular build of red, and we saw this at the Pro Tour with this build, very burn heavy. So while that combination and that Pyroclasm effect is going to be quite good in the matchup, it probably only will catch 1 or 2 creatures because he's not like the Atarka red version with Dragon Fodder and Hordling Outburst and Goblin Rabblemaster. He's got some creatures that'll get some work done, but Jasper's looking to get you down to like 10 and then fire off burn spells.
Definitely agree.
So that's definitely where Negate comes in, and I expect that to be in the deck for Tyler Winn after sideboard. As these players shuffle up here for game number 2, we of course want to talk about what these players are playing for here in day 2 because both of them, in Jasper and Tyler, in great position to make the top 8 here and at least walk away with $500. And I wouldn't be surprised if either one of them, and we've seen Tyler do this before, walk out here with first place, which is $5,000, 25 Open Series points, and an invite to our Season 4 Invitational in Las Vegas. Let's not forget as well, for a player like Joe Lissette, who's won a couple of these things already this year, he knows what it's like to get the job done, but more importantly, he needs those 25 Open Series points.
Yeah, those 25 points could really make the difference. We said before, Joe Lissette entered in 9th place, which means currently he has the last spot to the Players' Championship, but boy, would he like to get off that bubble.
And taking a look at social media last night, before calling it an evening, Ross Merriam playing some local IQs, as is Jonathan Morawski, 2 players who are qualified for the Players' Championship right now if we were to end things today. Looking to gain points, looking to solidify their spot, maybe be the points champion for the season. A lot of people out there grinding away. They couldn't make it up here to Milwaukee this weekend. They're looking to get Open Series points to keep pace because they know players like Matthew Tickle, Tom Ross, and a bevy of other players are looking to catch them right now.
Yeah, Chris Anderson here today as well. We had Caleb Schurer. I don't believe he made it into day 2.
I don't think he made it in day 2 either, taking a look at the standings. So for him, he'll have to do something with Storm here in one of the 2 formats that we have for our Premier IQs. We've got Legacy and Modern here. And Caleb has had a lot of success with Legacy Storm. In Seattle for our Season 4 Invitational last year, he had a fantastic record with the deck. And so I imagine he'll probably choose that version of Storm over the Modern version. Plus, the Legacy version of Storm is just better than the Modern version. So it seems like a natural place for him to go. You talk about the invites to the Players' Championship. Right now, if we ended things today, Gerard Fabiano would get the at-large bid as far as season points are concerned. He'd be our season points champion for season number 4. And then we give away 7 invites. So Hunter Nance is 1, Jonathan Morawski is 2, Ty Anderson's 3, Ross Merriam would be 4, Eric Hawkins would be number 5, Chris Vanderveer would be number 6, and Joe Lissette would be number 7. However, Logan Mize, Rudy Briska, Caleb Scherer, I think they might have something to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Rudy and Logan, they are 3 and 5 points behind Lissette right now. That is hardly a lead at all.
Yep. And as we oftentimes say here in the Open Series, all it takes is one win in one of our main events to get the job done and pull past somebody. As we're underway here in game number 2, Jasper did take a mulligan, but he found 6 cards that he's happy with.
And to that degree, Eric Hawkins falling close to off the bubble. He not playing any IQs or Opens this weekend due to family or commitments.
Yeah, that's going to be tough.
It's hard.
It's pretty tough to pass up a wedding. I wouldn't recommend that you do that, but that's going to have an effect. That's going to have an effect on things for the race here for the Players' Championship. Real life commitments getting in the way. As here is a Chandra.
Jasper's going to need this Chandra to do a lot of work, and that's difficult because you'd expect it to get killed here based on how Jeskai is positioned.
Now, Winn did use a Wild Slash to take care of the Abbott. Does he have another burn spell? He does. So another Wild Slash will take care of Chandra.
And this one has lifelink thanks to Soulfire Grandmaster. It's really not where Jasper wants to be. Remember that because we had 96 players in day 2, it's very likely that 12 and 3 will be the record needed to make top 8. So for these players in first and second on our standings to start today, they really do have the inside track when it comes to top 8ing the event.
Yep.
You know, if you're looking at Jasper's side, he needs to 3 and 3 on the day.
Wild Slash there from Jasper will take care of Soulfire Grandmaster, but that thing already got a lot of work done, gained a bunch of life. Now, Winn did draw a Mantis Rider. See if he wants to deploy that, or if he's at that sweet spot with 4 mana and Ochai's Command.
Yeah, and what's really been interesting to me is Ochai's Command as a Magic card did not see play for a while after Dragons of Tarkir, it's only recently that I think the printing of Jace Vryn's Prodigy is really what pushed it to the point where suddenly now we just expect it out of blue-white decks.
Yeah, I think it really needed a powerful 2-drop to return. Not to say that Seeker of the Way and Soulfire Grandmaster aren't powerful, but I think Jace is much better than both of those cards. A couple copies of Searing Blood is going to take down that Mantis Rider, so Winn is going to end up taking 6 in that exchange. He's down to 12. Jasper with no cards in hand takes a draw step, will pass the turn back.
Now, one thing you should note, while this game looks bleak for Jasper, look at Tyler's lands for a second. And this is something I kind of talked about before the match. A basic Plains, but he has 2 Shivan Reefs and a Battlefield Forge. That is a lot of damage on his side. Now, Jasper does not appear to have pressure, so Tyler may get by anyways as he brings back Soulfire Grandmaster with that Ochai's Command. But this is not free.
Yeah, he also gained 4 life there. That's why he's up to 15 now. Wild Slash took care of Soulfire Grandmaster, which is a good idea, given that thing does have lifelink. Now here's a Jace, however. One thing that Tyler continues to do, even though his mana is not really cooperating, is here's a Stoke the Flames on Jace. I think we might have a negate, and we do. Tyler continues to present threats that Jasper has to kill, because I'm sure Jasper would love to just go upstairs with these burn spells, but he can't. He's got to try to kill Jace and Soulfire Grandmaster and everything else.
This is where the mono red player finds himself trapped frequently because all his cards are very similar. They're all just burn spells. So if Tyler continues to deploy creatures, Jasper's in a position where he either has to let Tyler have a creature like Jace, which is really unacceptable, or burn the creature, which is what Jasper's been doing, and I think correctly so. But the problem is that that's not getting him toward the win, and it's not like there are any draws that will get him toward the win either. I mean, if Tyler continues to play threats, Jasper's outs basically become drawing Abbot of Carol Keep and hoping to play Abbots into burn spells for the creatures, and then maybe hopes that the Abbots bring him toward the finish line. There's not a lot of card advantage, so when Jasper runs out of cards, his lines become very limited.
And this is getting even more difficult because here's Ochai's Command again, bringing back Soulfire Grandmaster and gaining Winn 4 life, so he's at a comfortable 14. Mystic Monastery is the land for the turn. Jace is going to move on up. Here come the beatdowns. No removal spell here for Jasper. He'll take 5. Winn will gain 2. It's 7 to 16 now.
And for those of you playing Jeskai, watching this one, I just want to point out just the discipline on Tyler's side here. He has yet to ever use the draw a card mode of Ochai's Command.
Yep.
It has just been bringing back creatures and gaining life every time.
In this matchup, I'm not sure the draw a card mode is actually a mode on there. In rare circumstances, it probably is. And here's Jeskai's Charm that's going to go upstairs and get the job done here for Tyler Winn. So he's going to win this match pretty comfortably. 2-0 over Jasper Johnson-Epstein. We no longer have an undefeated player here in Milwaukee. And it's likely with that win that Tyler Winn moves into first place in the standing. So congratulations to him. Congratulations on a well-played match. And most importantly, congratulations on picking a role and sticking to it, because he definitely knew what he wanted to do there.
Yeah, made that one look easy, to be sure.
I'm not sure if it's always that easy for Jeskai in this matchup, but those games, they certainly did look easy.
Yeah, having a lot of wild slashes seems like where you want to be against this red deck. Tyler certainly had no shortage of them, and when Tyler's trading 1-mana removal spells with Jasper's 2- and 3-mana creatures, that's where Jeskai is going to pull ahead because he does have powerful cards like Jace, Ojutai's Command, and Mantis Rider that really outclass the red deck.